Hello again. It's Dave from Nerdbox bringing you Season 2, the premiere of 5 Things. And with me is my lovely co-host, Mr. Chetty himself, Charlie Johnston.
It's been a minute, but it's good to be back.
Woo! Yes, it is. And as promised, this is the part 2 to our season finale, where we talked about shows that you should watch before they got the Cancel Culture Act. And on this one, we're going to talk about the ones that we think should be canceled. Now, like always, we're going to jump into a little bit of a backstory, then introduce our special guest, and then dive into our list.
I am inevitable.
Last season, we talked about 5 shows that you should watch before they received the Cancel Culture Acts. The conversation on and off the episode was so good that we felt a part 2 was in order. Only this time, we would be talking about the shows that should be canceled. Now, Mike, our guest, nearly predicted the demise of Jeopardy, only instead of it being Dr. Oz's fault, Mike Richards was the culprit. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk about 5 shows that need to be canceled because maybe they're past their prime and need to be put out to pasture. Maybe that tired formula that they've been pushing out there for years and years and years is just too predictable. Or maybe the show consists of a vile and disgusting human being, or the show promotes depravity in its content. Now, this isn't a guilty pleasures episode. It is just an episode on TV shows that need to be canceled from syndication, streaming, and or sale for good. All right, so let's roll into it. And our special guest returning is Mike Estrin from OK Thank You. Welcome.
Hi, good to be back. Thanks for having me again.
All right, so some things have kind of changed a little bit. Charlie, you want to go over the changes in season 2 versus 1?
All right, well, it's a lot of the same, kind of a round table discussion. Obviously, our special guest leads off. Honorable mentions we'll be doing somewhere towards the middle end, if you want to call it that. Mike, do you got anything you want to do, a little puggy poo or anything like that before we get started? Maybe tell us a little bit what's going on with you guys.
I recently recorded an announcement video. Some changes are happening at OK Thank You, and so I recorded a video to kind of explain what those are. I am waiting for Tristan to finish editing it and put it out. And other than that, I have been kind of working on my own personal channel. Right now, it's just youtube.com/BucksFan524. I'm obviously going to change the URL. And so I have a couple of friends who want to write for me, and then I've been actually going to get footage, and I'm trying to teach myself how to edit so that I can start putting out videos. But I'm going to be working on that. I think I'm finished with the logo. I don't think I'm tweaking it anymore. So yeah, been doing that. And once that goes live, I'll definitely promote that, because I don't want to put it out now and then have people sitting waiting. Like, that feels wrong.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Me too.
All right. Well, today's list is, as Dave said, shows that kind of gone a little past their prime, should be canceled. Maybe they're offensive. Maybe it's just a little bit too much, going back to the well. Who knows? Mike, you're our guest of honor. Why don't you start with your number 5?
My number 5, 16 and Pregnant. And I think it's like, I get it. It happens. It's a thing. But do we really want to expose the people it happens to? Because it could be the result of something really terrible happening to that teenager, or it could be just teenagers that are super irresponsible. And like, it's just nothing good's really happening there. And it's just, do we really want to promote that stuff? And like, maybe there's some dumb kids out there who like, oh, all I have to do is get pregnant at a young age and I can be a TV star kind of thing. Like, I'm not saying they're all doing that. I don't know. I don't know why it became a thing to begin with, other than it seems to be capitalizing off like the miserability, I'm making up that word, of people's lives.
Is that still on MTV? That's what that is, right?
That's what I had to check. And I think it stopped at like 2017. But then I think I read that they're rebooting it. And I'm like, no, what? So they're bringing it back.
Yeah. And it's still streaming, right? Part of cancel culture is just wiping it off the face of the planet, but it's still available.
I don't know I've never watched an episode. So maybe they're promoting like as a way of, hey, learn from these people's mistakes, or maybe they're helping these people, but it's MTV. I doubt it. They're usually just, hey, look at these people's lives. Aren't you glad they aren't you?
Being a young pregnant girl is dramatic enough as it is.
Exactly.
But they do that thing. They do that MTV reality TV bullshit thing.
And in this day and age, the reality world, social media world, when it comes to defining reality superstars and celebrities, that these people become icons.
My number 5 is, it's a combination of two things. Number one, I think the show's kind of run its course, and frankly, I think the guys on the show probably would agree. Practical Jokers.
Wow.
Listen, here's the problem. It's a good show if you can find episodes that True TV doesn't play in syndication over and over and over again. Like, you have to search on Hulu and just look for an episode you've never seen. Oh, okay. And then you're like, okay, it's something funny. But they love to play the same 20 episodes. They give it the Family Guy treatment, basically.
I do love the show, but when you go to see their live show, you're like, oh man, I'm going to spend all of this money, because they are a pricier ticket right now.
It is expensive. Yep.
And the show's only 35 minutes, maybe 40. And they have video clips during the show. It's like, this is like the worst live event that I ever paid for a comedy act, because it was so short. So I'm going to bring the controversy, and it's going to be a figurehead person that I mentioned with my number 5, but it's for all the assholes that are out there that do this. My number 5 is Tucker Carlson. And all of the people out there in the news, no matter what channel you are, or if you're online in your newspapers, when you pump out fake bullshit, you need to be ripped from this earth from ever doing anything in media, television, any platform ever again. With Tucker Carlson, why I put him as the figurehead for this, because Fox News in a court case went out and said, hey, nobody believes his shit anyway. Hey, they shouldn't be watching him to believe it and take it as real news. So, they called him out to the carpet too, but yet people like him on all channels are still on the air, and they just need to go.
That's actually my honorable mention. That's the one it was just blanket. All cable news networks need to just go.
My number 4, actually, I think was finally taken off, but if anything ever like this comes up again, I think it should be gone. Cuties. From Netflix. Like, I don't think it's controversial to say that needs to be canceled, obviously, and I think it successfully was, but everything ever like it.
Oh, it's definitely still on there.
Is it? I thought they got rid of it.
100% still. No, they just got it out of the algorithm. It's definitely there.
Done. Yeah. Get rid of it. Like, get rid of it.
Pedophiles pay for memberships too there, Mike. Netflix don't give a fuck.
I didn't think of that. That's a good point.
They don't care. None of them care.
I know. I don't even know what else I need to say about Cuties, but get it the hell out of here.
Agreed.
That show, and one I'm going to talk about later, just makes me want to vomit.
Here's what the problem is. Somebody approved that. Somebody at Netflix said, yeah. And then somebody at Netflix also said, we're going to put in our must-watch thing. There have been
so many people.
100%.
Someone dressed up the kids. Someone took the photos. Someone edited the photos. Someone went, hey, we should do this. Someone went, yeah. Someone gave it to someone to upload. Like, there's a huge line that it made it. And no one went, no, we shouldn't do this.
What about their parents too?
Exactly.
Their parents allowed it.
Like, oh God.
Their parents got a paycheck, I'm sure, because these kids are underage. They got, the check was made out to somebody. Yeah. They all got paid too. They're all pieces of shit. My number 4 is The Walking Dead. And I understand it's on its final season, but I still wanted to fucking say it. That show's been dog shit for years. And it should have done the proper exit, which was when Rick Grimes was off the show should have ended. That's just done. Not a political reason, nothing other than it's just run its course. It's become offensive because it's so bad.
It has its peak, right? It goes and goes, it goes up. And then there's the episode that happens in the comics, that happens in the show, which is with Glenn and Negan introduction. And then millions of people tuned out because he died. And then we started going down because Scott Gimple got too much power on that show, and he started dicking around with people behind the scenes. Like poor Chandler Riggs, it's like, oh man, we're gonna sign you to all these years and stuff like that, and we're gonna bring you to the show. And Chandler Riggs puts off college and he buys a house down there, and then the next fucking week they axe him from the damn show. And then it goes downhill. But then they replace Scott Gimple with a new showrunner, and she's been slowly bringing the horror element back up. So it's been better than it has been.
I think it's definitely, especially with how it is. Like, obviously, I don't know if you could have it any other way, but it is one of those shows where it's like, I like this character, I'm invested, and they're dead. All right, like
that's the name of the game,
right? And but it is kind of hard to like have these characters where like, who do you connect to? And you like look at season, 10 as opposed to season 1, and I don't think anyone's left from season 1.
Well, that
just two,
and so it's like, oh yeah, that's right. And so it's just like, man, all right, I don't know. It's hard to keep if you keep changing the cast, but obviously there's a reason why they keep changing the cast.
But to me, the resolution of a decent show should be there should be an arc for a character. It started with Rick Grimes, and that was the arc, and and that's where the jumping the shark kind of thing comes in. It's like he can lose everything, and then whatever happens to him, and then done. I don't give a shit about these other people. I don't know who they are. I know that he met them along the way, but he's dead. He's why, and everything was related to him, some capacity. They blew their load.
They tried to appease the diehard fans, all right? Because the diehard fans at that time was like, oh man, you got to kill people off. Look what Game of Thrones did. They had the Red Wedding. You got to kill off the main characters. You always forget that the casual fan is the bigger audience. And the casual fans love Glenn. They love Abraham. They love Rick. And when you get rid of those big characters, the casual fans like, peace, I'm out. All right, I'm going to dial my list back a little bit before I jump back into the deep end of the pool. So this show has been off the airs for a while, but it's still streamable, and it is Seventh Heaven. And that is because of the dad, the beloved dad, Stephen Collins, molesting a girl back in 72. And he's never been prosecuted for it, brought up on trial. He's just in hiding in the woods somewhere, and he's just going to fade into the distance.
Why wasn't he ever charged?
Well, this is going to come up with my number 1 as well. Statutes of limitations ran out.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Cops.
Is it back on the air?
I think it is.
Yep.
It's back on the air, and it's one of those things like, cool, like, is the show itself like offensive? No, but it also, with everything that's happening, it just seems a little tone deaf to have it still on the air, especially with the stuff that's going on. And like, now you have a bunch of cops like going, they don't want the vaccine and blah, blah, blah. And they're clearly like the whole Black Lives Matter protests and everything that went on, and just how many corrupt ones are being exposed. And it's just like, I mean, obviously, are there good ones? Yes. But there are also really, really bad ones. And it's just to still show that stuff. It's one of the ones that, how is it back? Especially now with what's happening. I don't think it should be.
I agree. So like, even with Live PD, now I watch Cops, I watch Live PD, but there are those episodes where they're filming and you see some foul things that are going on.
Yeah.
Take somebody down and then you see a couple punches to the ribs or a couple knees thrown in there. It's like, dude, the guy's down.
The entire Arrowverse.
Oh, Arrow.
Wow. The entire Arrowverse, all of it. Arrow was a fine enough show. The Flash was good up until season 4, I want to say it was. Supergirl served its purpose. Legends of Tomorrow was good for 2 seasons. My problem with it is I have an issue, and I kind of mentioned this on another podcast at some point, where corporate interests decide to target on particular groups of people, not because they actually have any interest in elevating their voices or doing anything that actually will serve the cause or help them, but they just do it because they know you'll watch it. And they basically turn it into something that is so gratuitous and so on the nose that it's like it's unwatchable. The best example I can give in that scenario is Supergirl. Supergirl is about a girl who happens to be the older cousin of Kal-El from the planet Krypton. And she comes to Earth, and that's all well and good, and she saves the day and all that kind of stuff. That's what the show should be about. The show, and she in this particular show, she has a sister. Her sister happens to come out of the closet, which is perfectly fine, and it should be fine. And anybody that identifies in any way they do should be treated like anybody else. Problem is, the name of the show is Supergirl. And the show became about this sister and that subject matter. And it very rarely touched on Supergirl anymore. They need to make the stories about this other thing. It's like, no, they can identify however they identify. I don't have a problem with that. It's more than okay. It's not even that it's okay. It's just life. Like, it should be normal. There shouldn't be the spotlight on it, because if you want to normalize anything, if you really want acceptance, you should make it as though it doesn't matter. Like, it should almost not even come up. Have a scene where they're having she gets home and has dinner with her other, and it happens to be a female. Never mentioned. It just is. And it's normal and it's fine. Don't make it this grandiose, the music swells and all this other kind of crap, and make the show about that now. I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy, and I think it's reaching for people on a very dishonest way, and I think people deserve better, and I think their intelligence should be credited better than that.
I can definitely see that. I know when Tristan and I made a video for a 48-hour film festival, we had the main characters had two dads, but we didn't say anything of it. We just did it. We're like, here you go.
The 700 Club with Pat Robinson. And I know he just retired.
Did he? Good.
Yes. 700 Club has been on for decades. Listen to this moron. About 9/11, he stated that the terrorist attacks were caused by pagans, abortionists, feminists, gays, and lesbians. He compared same-sex marriage to having no limits, including bestiality. He said people have too much plastic surgery, and then said they look Oriental, and then moved his eyes slanted. He was asked about wives disrespecting their husbands, and he said that, hey, become a Muslim, move to Saudi Arabia, and then you can beat them. He accused gay people of spreading AIDS by stabbing them with a special ring that they wore, and they shook hands with other people. And this is just some of the comments that he's been spewing for decades. And
I'm going to ask my gay friend to see his sweet ring.
How many people do you guys know that buy into that kind of shit?
Yeah.
Probably nobody.
Yeah, not personally, right.
Right. That's a good thing.
I don't hang around with those people.
Look, I'm going to disagree with you, because there's those televangelists now that have churches all around here, and they have
there's a lot of stupid people.
Money.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of stupid people, and Waco was a disaster, but those people died, and that's sometimes shit happens. Having the ability to know that kind of rhetoric is out there, and people what you really need to do is you need to have more situations like this where views can be expressed, and then you can turn around and tell somebody who follows that, like, what are you doing, bro? Like, really? You don't see a problem with that stuff? But you need to know it's there before you can talk against it or speak against it. That's what my point is.
A roundabout way of saying learn from history, kind of.
Exactly.
My number 2 is the only one I could think of, but also it's kind of like others like this as well. Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Because there's just something about they're famous because they're fit. Do something like them and like the Paris Hilton stuff and stuff, just in that entire thing. Just if you're going to be famous, get it from doing anything whatsoever.
Yeah.
And what have they done? Like it just, again, it kind of promotes that these kids these days, they'll be like, I can just do whatever I want and I'll just be famous. Like, no, contribute to society in some way, please.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with that. Blame MTV, bro. We mentioned it already. It's all there for the Kardashians was on I don't know what channel it was on, but like that's where it all started.
Yeah.
The Real World was a great idea. Should have been done after season 5. Just my opinion.
But also those were normal people that whatever, and they didn't be.
Yes.
I mean, can you even name the any of the cast members? Maybe you can, but
Puck.
I can name one, and I think Puck. I think Puck is the turning point that led to all this nonsense because he was the homophobic one. He was the nastiest one on all those earlier seasons, and they promoted the hell out of him.
And again, look at that. Why did they do that? Because people wanted to see what Puck was going to say. All right, my number 2, Law and Order Special Victims Unit. Show is done. It has been done. It should have been done after Stabler left. Maybe, I mean, some of the episodes after, I like Carisi. He's all right. I liked Barba was a good DA, but it's, Olivia Benson should have retired. She probably should have been fired from the force because captains are not in the field as much as that asshole is. And they certainly don't survive the amount of bullshit that she turned into John McClane. That's what my problem is. She turned into John McClane and he can't kill her. Unscathed. She's unscathed every time she gets into some bullshit.
I used to watch that show a lot back in the day.
I love that show. It pains me to say it, but it is done.
I think we kind of touched on this in 2 different ways in 2 other shows. So like The Walking Dead and like the Arrowverse, I've seen a couple of the recent episodes of the show and it's like, wait a minute, why are we turning this into a soap opera? We're going off track. Who cares if this person's in a relationship with that person? That is not what the premise of the show is. Exactly. Can we get back to it, please?
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like this extra BS. Like, I don't give a shit. Go after, and this is where it kind of ties into some of the little like more controversial parts of it that I have a problem with. There's more than just rape victims that they could be going after. I'm just saying, and I think that has a way of sending a little bit of a message. Just again, we're talking about how people perceive certain things. I think it can sort of. There's not a lot of people out there that always understand the difference between reality and TV and stuff like that, or the where did they get these ideas from or whatever. And I think it creates this idea that there is just New York is full of nothing but rapists, and that's all there is. And it's lazy, and it falls back on the like, let's go back to the well again. Here's powerful man. We're gonna have him rape something, and it's a hour of that until eventually at the end he gets caught, and that's the show over and over, rinse and repeat. Get creative. Get fucking creative.
I didn't know it was still on the air.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on it a little bit with Cuties. So it is still available on streaming and surprisingly enough on Discovery Plus, Toddlers and Tiaras. Yeah, we won't have to dive into it that much because we talked about it, but I will say this about that show, right? So we know that there are child labor laws when it comes to filming, except there are no child labor laws when you're a part of a pageant, and pageants can last up to 7 or 8 hours. So guess what? They had a workaround. So they could film the show and it could go for 7 or 8 hours and the kids didn't get a break.
I did not know that. So that just added another layer of crappiness. Really? Why?
Exactly.
What's the loophole there?
It's a competition.
So?
All right, folks. Well, that leads us now to our honorable mentions. Mike, what do you got?
Fox News, I added. But it pains me because this one isn't so much where I think it should be, because I still enjoy it, but just hearing people talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, maybe it's time. But The Simpsons. And now I'm definitely adding all the televangelist stuff, like just stuff that promotes hate and stuff like that. It's like there's like you said, there's a lot of stuff in the world happening and we're only getting the bad parts of things. We don't need more. We don't need to keep adding to it.
That's a fair take. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I really just had cable news networks just in general across the board. Just leave C-SPAN's the only one you can leave on. Just leave it on the halls of Congress, whatever they're doing. And I some YouTuber out there can, they can pull it and commentate on it if they choose to. And you'll have your source and someone will have theirs, and you can meet in the middle if you choose to. And that's enough. We don't need Sean Hannity anymore. We're good. All right, Mike, what's your number one?
Oh, I got an honorable mention.
Sorry, that's right, Dave. I'm sorry.
I'm more important.
What's your honorable mentions, Dave? I'm sorry.
All right. Well, this ties into Mike's pick, and it's teen moms. And essentially, I just wanted to throw out this interesting fact that I found out about teen moms is that they did a survey, they did some analysis on it to see which states were following and watching Teen Mom more and which ones like it. So Facebook did all their analysis, and it came out to be Kentucky at number 1. And lo and behold, Kentucky is the 4th highest rank in teen pregnancy. So it's like, so there is a correlation between MTV and promoting this stuff, because here you have Kentucky's number 1 that watches it and loves it, and they're ranked number 4 in teen pregnancy. New York was on the bottom of the list, and they're ranked 42 in teen pregnancy. So I thought that was an interesting fact on there. It just fell off my top 5 because I remembered the 700 clip.
Kind of sticking in the same vein of reality-esque TV shows, My 600-Pound Life. We're just watching people suffer and getting enjoyment out of it. And for me, I've lost 82 pounds. And my whole thing was I did it for health. But the one thing that bothered me to hear, like, I get it. It came from the heart when people would say it. But I'm like, yeah, I'm losing weight. They're like, oh, you don't need to. You look great. I'm like, cool. But I'm trying to better myself. And you're basically telling me, hey, don't worry about it. It's like, well, that's not cool. So we're watching these people have like morbidly obese. And then we're just kind of either laughing at them or kind of like it's like a old circus freak show kind of thing. It's like, do we need to do this? And it's just like, do we want to keep promoting this like, again, a circus freak show type mentality of, hey, look at all these people that are, something's wrong with them, and let's, make entertainment of it. And I'm just like,
I agree with you.
Yeah. It's like that movie Dinner with the Schmucks, right? It's like, let's not really try to help people. We're saying we kind of are and trying to celebrate them for their differences, but meanwhile, we're secretly making fun of you.
Yeah.
Mine's a really simple number 1, and it should be very obvious. I'm surprised no one said it, but it's Family Guy. We're done. We're fucking done. It's good. I would cancel Family Guy before I cancel The Simpsons.
Okay.
At least The Simpsons has been consistent for 30 years. Family Guy went from being like, it's kind of a ripoff to, oh my God, I can't believe they're saying that, to, oh my God, I can't believe they're lecturing me with things that are being said, and they say it, to, oh my God, I can't believe they get the opportunity to apologize and not say it anymore, but they still syndicate it, and Quagmire's a rapist, and all that's there, and just fucking cancel it. It's done. It's not even funny anymore. Let's be honest. It's over.
I think the whole Quagmire thing really just makes it on that top list there to go.
He's a rapist. Period.
I must have missed the last few years. I don't remember that.
There's an episode where he has his estranged daughter left on his doorstep, and there's a joke at the end about can't wait till she turns 18.
Oh my!
He's an incestual fucking deviant. Like, it just goes on and on and on, and it's like it doesn't. I saw that episode on Adult Swim probably 2 months ago. You know what I mean? Like, why is that okay?
My number 1, staying with the theme of horrible human beings, especially since this show is still streamable. It's been off the air for many years, but the main person of this show was recently at a convention that I went to, and I'm like, why is this guy still allowed to go out in public? And it's Charles in Charge, Mr. Scott Baio, who sexually assaulted Nicole Eggert repeatedly during the time that she was on the show. And then the little boy, he would actually physically abuse him. He threw hot tea in his face. He pantsed them in front of people. And, just the stories around what Scott Baio did to the two of them. And the only reason why it never came back and bit him is because when it came up, the statutes of limitations had expired for both of them. So now this asshole gets to go out and visit people at cons and get paid to do all this stuff. And he's just a terrible, miserable human being.
I didn't know
Didn't
any of
that. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
That kind of explains a lot.
And when did that all come to light?
Right around the Me Too movement, it came out where Nicole Eggert came out and she brought up the stuff that was going on. And then the kid came out, I think, a year later saying, oh, yeah, well, he was doing this to me, too. Like, the people working on the Charles and Charles set did nothing because one time Scott Baio actually grabbed Nicole Eggert by the hair and drug her off the stage. And it's just like, oh, okay, all of you deserve to rot in hell. There's a special place for a lot of those people.
I don't get it. That's crazy. That's fucking nuts. Huh. Anyway, folks, that's been our top 5. It's horrible and horrifying. Well, welcome to season 2, folks.
Welcome.
I'd like to thank our guest, Mike. Do another plug for us, please.
We have a YouTube channel called Okay, Thank You. And if you're at all interested in seeing what I end up doing in the future with my personal channel, you can follow me on Twitter at Michael B. Estrin, and MICHAEL BESTRIN. And same thing on Instagram. And that's it, really. We haven't put out anything in about a couple months because, again, we have an announcement coming. Hopefully we'll put that announcement out soon. Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. That was awesome.
Thank you for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. It's been interesting. Scott Baio's a piece of shit. Wow. Anyway,
that's what I learned today.
I just I'm still I'm flabbergasted. I just never heard any of that. You hear so much. Anyway, folks, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Go into the comments, give us your list. Tell us what you think of our list. If you agree, disagree, any of that kind of stuff. I find it very difficult to believe that anyone's going to disagree with a lot of this stuff, if I'm being honest. But fuck, you never know. Maybe there's some evangelists that are fans of this show. I doubt it. I highly doubt it, but who knows? Anyway, for 5 things. Hey, Dave, it's season 2, right?
Woohoo! Yep, season 2. A lot of fun episodes coming up this season. A lot of firsts.
Absolutely, we're very excited. I've been Chetty, and this is what's your name again? Dave? Dave, that's you, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this has been Dave.
Okay. Bye.
See you later.